you all for coming. I'm Ted Cowan. I'm just the one that tried to help put this together, but we owe this night to Rosa, who happened to be in the state of Maine, and agreed to come and talk to us because this is such an important subject. Now, Rosa, ASA, is the executive director of the Post-Sustainability Institute. She is a commercial real estate appraiser specializing in eminent domain valuation. For 30 years, is an expert witness analyzing land use and property value in her position as a district brand chief in San Francisco for the California Department of Transportation enabled her to recognize the planning revolution sweeping the country. While fighting to stop a huge development project in her city, she researched the corporate, political, and financial interests behind it and found UN Agenda 21. Impacting every aspect of our lives, UN Agenda 21 Sustainable Development is a corporate manipulation using the green mask of environmental concern to forward a globalist plan. In early June, Rosa was a speaker at an international conference on global governance that included President Václav Klaus of the Czech Republic and Prime Minister John Howard of Australia. She has been on an East Coast speaking tour and has just returned from New Hampshire, where she was invited to address members of the New Hampshire legislature on UN Agenda 21 Sustainable Development. Rosa speaks across the nation and is a regular blogger on her website, DemocratsAgainstUNAgenda21.com. The new book, Behind the Green Mask, UN Agenda 21, is available at Amazon.com, on Kindle, Nook, and her website. You may also be aware that she was also recently on Glenn Beck. So we're very fortunate to have her with her tonight. I'm sure you're going to really appreciate what she has to say. So here's Rosa.
Okay, let's see if I can do it as well as Ted did here. I really am glad to be in Maine. Maine is beautiful, and I like being in a state where the people are strong. And that's important. So, and not to say that other states aren't strong, but I like Maine. So, and in fact, I like being in Waldoboro because you just had your community visioning meeting back in 2010. The Rethink, Reimagine, and Revitalize Waldoboro. And guess what? That's Agenda 21. That's what it looks like. Also, Gateway 1, where you've got your bicycle, pedestrian, and downtown master plans, working on that, and your priority development areas. Thank you. That's a winner. So this is, as I'm going to be talking about Agenda 21, United Nations Agenda 21 Sustainable Development, it doesn't come with flashing lights, and it's not called Agenda 21. And so that's, this is what you deal with when you're dealing with this plan, because it's not identified as Agenda 21. So I'm here to talk with you about what is the biggest plan that we have ever dealt with in our country, in our nation. And you have to pay total attention to me. Don't look who's coming in the room. Because this is way more important than that. Okay. So, and the reason I say that is just because, I know this is a lot of, we're going to be getting a lot of information, hearing a lot of stuff, and it can be hard to take it in. So, let's wait until we have this chairs out.
Excuse me, can you speak up because we can't hear you back
Oh,
here?
I'm so sorry. Yeah.
And it's so important that all of us hear what you have to say.
She's working really hard. We have a microphone issue, so
Yeah.
bear with her.
Somebody that knows about microphones.
There's a seat for you right here, man.
Well, no, we have a whole group back here.
No, I agree. It's really important that everyone can hear. I really want everybody to be here.
That's a little better. Yes.
Oh, great. Okay, Steve. Thank you. Steve's here. Of course, the musician,
Yeah.
Sorry. We'll get it together here. Yeah, hopefully. You can let me know. I want to know if you can't hear me. Let me know if you can. I'm not talking right now, though. Just in case you weren't sure. Okay, so is that a little better, do you think? Hopefully I'm going to talk, I'll talk louder, too. Okay. All right. So, here we are. We're in Maine. We're in the United States. We're dealing with a very powerful issue here. It is vital that we all work together to stop this plan. And we're going to hear about it. I'm sure a lot of you know quite a bit about it now. As I travel the nation and talk with people, groups are getting larger, people are becoming more knowledgeable. This is not going to be the first time that many of you have heard about the United Nations Agenda 21, Sustainable Development. But for some of you, this will be the first time. And I want you to know that it's a lot of information, it's very intense, but we are working together and we will beat this. So you're going to find yourselves, as Americans, completely at odds with and deeply concerned by the agenda for the 21st century, as it is called by the United Nations and the world. It's a blueprint. It is the action plan to inventory and control all land, all water, all minerals, all plants, all animals, all production, all construction, all information, all energy, and all human beings in the world. It is a totally comprehensive plan, inventory and control. It's a transition from representative government to government by unelected boards and commissions. It's a loss of private property rights and a loss of our sovereignty and our freedom. Because you want to remember, of course, that our property extends to our persons as well. So we are losing, through this plan, our private property rights, including our rights to our freedom. So we're not going to be concerned about this just as Americans. It concerns us as free human beings. And this is a nonpartisan issue. I happen to be a liberal Democrat. That does not have anything to do with this issue. This is a nonpartisan issue. We are working together across the world, regardless of our political affiliation, regardless of any of our proclivities or whatever. This is a plan that we must fight together. So United Nations Agenda 21, Sustainable Development, was signed on to by 179 nations, including the United States, in 1992 at the Earth Summit in Rio de Janeiro, Brazil. George H.W. Bush, our president, committed the United States to implementing sustainable development, and it has been supported by every president since. It's a global plan, but it is implemented locally. So I'll tell you that United Nations Agenda 21, Sustainable Development, is the biggest public relations scam in the history of the world. But it's far more than that. The agenda for the 21st century is a recipe for destruction. It enables and justifies the monitoring and metering and restricting of our energy and water usage. You'll see that in smart meters. Instituting a carbon tax on industry, pulverizing our roads, destroying our dams, sinking our economy, exhausting our military with endless war. It enables and justifies the diagnosing of a huge portion of our population with mental illness and drugging us, leading our transportation budget with high-cost trains to nowhere, revamping our school system by inserting sustainable development principles into every course, from pre-kindergarten all the way to postgraduate, every course, declaring our public lands off limits to human beings, and changing every land use document in the nation to require high-density housing in city centers so that we can be more easily controlled and surveilled. It allows for warrantless searches and domestic surveillance. and identifying us as potential enemy combatants in our country, and redefines torture. If an enemy was trying to destroy us, it couldn't do a better job. In fact, if an enemy was trying to destroy us, what would it do? What did we do in Iraq? We destroyed the infrastructure. We blew up the schools, the government buildings. We stopped that. We took over their energy. This is what an enemy does. And this is what's happening to us. And it doesn't come with flashing lights, so it's difficult to identify it, and it happens slowly. So this is the erection of a corporatocracy. This is a global totalitarian state, and it is happening now. It is a stealth plan, but it's happening right out in plain sight. And I know it sounds crazy, but I am not crazy. The plan is crazy. So there's an overarching political and social philosophy to this plan, and it's called communitarianism. And communitarianism is that philosophy that says that the individual's rights have to be balanced with the rights of the community. Now, we know we're Americans, and our individual rights are guaranteed to us in our Constitution, right? Life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, guaranteed to us, not granted to us, but guaranteed to us, because a government cannot give or take away those rights that we were born with. But in a communitarian state, your individual rights are balanced with the rights of the community. Now, you know, what are the rights of the community? They're not delineated anywhere, right? They're not written down. They can change at any time. They are granted or taken away by a government. So in this case, when you balance the individual's rights with the rights of the community, you are always, as an individual, going to have your rights like a feather, and the rights of the community are going to be like a brick. They will outweigh your rights every time. And when you look at that balance, you're looking at balancing the individual's rights with the global community's rights. The global community. It's always for the common good. You'll see that. It'll be for the common good. So I like to kind of give a visual illustration of what this looks like, because it's very important to think about what it looks like when you're losing your rights. And this is how it works. You can think of, this is really annoying me. Is it bothering you? Is the sound bothering you or anything? No? Okay, good. As long as you're okay. That's great. So, you know, actually I'm going to use this other one because I want to tell you about the Hegelian dialectic. And that seems like, you know, something that just might be a boring thing. It's not at all boring. What it says is that a crisis needs to be created, and then a solution, of course, because you have this crisis, you got to have a solution for it, and then the balance between the two, the third way, is what will become the new normal. So I'll tell you, this is how it works. You're over here, you're white. You're a white can of paint. Somebody wants to get you to be a red can of paint. So what do? They take, here's the crisis. You got to have a solution. You balance the two by pouring them together. Now you have pink. This is your new normal. But we're not there yet. So you want to take your pink and you want to balance it with the red. And now your new normal is a real dark pink, right? Now you want to balance that with the red. And now you're red. And this is how you did it, by moving to the compromise of a crisis and a solution. And you have your third way, the middle way. And this is the Hegelian dialectic. So this is a third way you would never have accepted if it weren't for the crisis. So what's the crisis? Global warming, climate change. Yes, okay, it's serious. The planet's in danger, the sea levels are rising, life forms are threatened, no time to lose, in 100 years, we're going to be underwater. Panic, chaos, collapse. This is the tension. This is the crisis, okay? And I'll tell you, this is what they said in my local paper about it. It's hard to deny that the Earth is functioning well over capacity. like an overworked horse, it's simply a matter of time before the global organism collapses. Feeling that panic? Yeah, gotta do something about it. All intelligent people agree that it's our fault. Our selfish, greedy, wasteful ways are destroying the planet. So what are we gonna do? Here comes the UN to the rescue, right? We're gonna save the planet. So in 1987, the World Commission on Environment and Development, this is a United Nations commission, they first coined the term sustainable development. Now you see it everywhere, right? You got sustainable jackets, you got sustainable whatever, right? Everything's sustainable. You go into a hotel room, you got sustainable coffee, right? Sustainable development coffee. This is where that term comes from, sustainable development. What is it? Development that meets the needs of the present without compromising the ability of future generations to meet their needs. Well, that sounds good, doesn't it? Nobody wants to compromise the ability of future generations to meet their needs, right? Well, of course, they immediately determined that yes, everything we're doing now is compromising the ability of future generations to meet their needs. So, what are we going to do about it? The United Nations said to that commission, can you come back in 5 years with an action plan to implement sustainable development? And they said, sure, we'll do that. And they did. In 1992, they came back with the agenda for the 21st century, Agenda 21. And here it is. It's a real actual thing. You're going to hear that this is a conspiracy theory, that you're a tinfoil hat, that there's nothing to be worried about, that this is a 20-year-old non-binding, dusty old plan that has no impact on your life, right? Or that you're crazy and you got, something wrong. You go, oh, there's a black helicopter, right? So here it is. It's 300 pages. It's 40 chapters. And it's the real deal. It covers every aspect of your life. And it is also the green mask. That's why I called my book Behind the Green Mask, because there are many green masks. And this is one, because if you just read it and you're not thinking, you might think it's a good thing. And that's what's happened. A lot of people think it's a good thing who aren't thinking about it. So here's what it is. What's considered unsustainable? The Secretary General of the World Commission on Environment and Development, that was Maurice Strong. You're going to remember him from the oil for food scandal, right? He had to take off, go live in China. So what did he say at this time, and back in 1992? He said, the middle class lifestyle is unsustainable. Single family residences, private vehicles, appliances, air conditioning, meat eating, unsustainable. Tillage, you farm? Tillage is unsustainable. Because why? It releases greenhouse gas emissions. Yeah, you're going to have to go and get yourself a $250,000 seed injector to get those seeds in the ground. So, you're a threat to the planet. That's the way it is. Dams, threat to the planet. There's a plan, and there's an image for the plan. Now, the image for the plan is the 3 pillars, which are economy, ecology, and social equity. These are the 3 pillars. There are 3 circles. It kind of looks like a piece of the Olympic symbol, And where they come together, that's considered where everything is in balance, and that is sustainable. So I'll show you what it looks like. It's, you'll be able to see it. Maybe. Where is it? Here it is. Okay. Can you see that? These are the 3 circles. So when you see these, you're going to see these. You will see, if you don't see the actual image, you'll see the 3 words, which is environment, economy, and social equity. You might see it as ecology, economy, and equity. And this is Agenda 21. This is the image for Agenda 21. You're going to see it all over your government plans. This is totally comprehensive. We're looking at economics, housing, transportation, land use, health, water, energy, food production, and population control. China, of course, was a signature to Agenda 21, and they have been working on a vaccine for population control with the United States. So, that's right. They're working on a vaccine for population control, for sterility. Yeah, I said that. So, what is like at the heart of this, and this is real important to know, the precautionary principle. And that says, that's precautionary principle is principle number 15 of Agenda 21. And it says, and think about this when you're thinking about global warming. You know, whatever you think about global warming, you just think to yourself about this precautionary principle, okay? If an action or a policy has a suspected risk of causing harm, a suspected risk of causing harm to the public or the environment, in the absence of scientific consensus that the action or the policy is harmful, the burden of proof that it is not harmful falls on the party taking the action. Yeah, you gotta prove a negative there. I've got 1,000 scientists who say that there's no such thing as global warming. Well, I've got 10,000. Well, I've got 20, no, I have 40,000. No, I have 60,000. No, doesn't matter, because if there is a suspected risk of causing harm, in the absence of scientific consensus, you gotta prove there's no harm. And good luck with that. So, here we are. This plan is happening now. So, 1992, Rio de Janeiro Earth Summit, Bush signed on to it along with 178 other world leaders, and it is soft law. It did not have to be ratified by the Congress. Pay attention. Did not have to be ratified by the Congress. Hello. And, okay. This is a plan that comes into your town. It's a global plan, but it is implemented locally. And this is what you need to know, is that, yeah, it's got its roots in the United Nations, but it's implemented locally. Now that's its strength, and it's also its weakness, because we are local. So it is pervading through every part, every element of our government, and every part of our society, but we're there too. So, here's how it works. In 93, of course, Clinton was elected in 92. I'm not going to go year by year. Don't be thinking, oh my goodness, how long is it going to take her? Because here it goes. In 1993, when Clinton took office in January, 6 months later, he created the President's Council on Sustainable Development. The sole purpose of that was to implement United Nations Agenda 21 in the United States. Now, when people tell you that this is a United Nations plan, that it has nothing to do with you and your town in Waldoboro, the President's Council on Sustainable Development was charged with implementing it in the United States, and that is exactly what they did. So, what did they do? They gave a multi-million-dollar grant. First thing they did was, that council was made up of 12 cabinet-level secretaries, 12 federal agencies, EPA, HUD, Education, Agriculture, Defense, Transportation, Interior. Everybody was on that. Along with those federal agencies, they also had captains of industry, like Ken Lay from Enron. They also, it's mainly energy companies. And then there were the environmental groups, like the Sierra Club, the Natural Resources Defense Council. They were on that President's Council on Sustainable Development also. So the first thing the federal agencies said is, hey, we can get this plan into our agencies administratively. We don't need to let anybody in the United States know this is happening. We're just going to do it. But we need to get it into every single local city and county and state as well. And we need to do it as a land use plan. Because remember, this takes away your private property rights. The goal of the plan is to move you out of the rural and suburban areas and into the city centers, where you could be more easily managed and surveilled, where you are going to lose your independence. This is the goal of the plan. So what do? They gave a multi-million-dollar grant to the American Planning Association. They said, hey, you guys, can you do us a favor and come up with a guide that we can get into every university, every planning department in the entire United States, so that we can get Agenda 21, Sustainable Development Principles, into every single city, county, town in the entire U.S. And they said, sure. And they came back in 2002 with Growing Smart, legislative guidebook, with model statutes for planning and the management of change. 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 That is a jargon term. This entire plan is pervaded with jargon. What is jargon? Jargon is like a new, sort of a specialized language. Everybody who's got a profession, in your profession you have jargon. You might have a word that means something in your profession, doesn't mean it's the same thing to everyone who's out of it. And this is the same with this plan. So when you hear change, you're thinking it's either what you got in your pocket or something that's just kind of going to organically happen. Change. No, this is not that way. Change in this plan means total destruction of your traditional way. Transformation is the same kind of a word. You'll see that. Transformation also means complete and total destruction. Fun, right? So, by 2002, here it is. This is the cover of Growing Smart, legislative guidebook with model statutes for planning and the management of change. And this is a 12-pound book, so I just brought the cover because it's a long trip. And it's now in every single university, every college, every planning department in the entire United States. If you're studying to be a planner, you're studying to be an urban planner, land use planner, you are studying this book. And what does it have? Think about that for just a minute. Model statutes for planning. That means that when you go to your Waldoboro City Center planning department, or you go to your, wherever you are, Dresden or Portland, or wherever you are, they're getting those ordinances and statutes and laws and regulations out of a box. They didn't come up with them right here. They came out of a box. If they didn't come out of this box, they came out of a couple other boxes I'll tell you about, but they did not originate in your town. This is the lie. One of the many lies of this plan is that it's your plan, you came up with it, it's your idea, we're just doing what the community is asking us for, right? So, what else? Well, Growing Smart is smart growth. And you might have heard that term. Growing Smart is smart growth. So, I'll tell you about that in a minute, but I want to tell you what else the President's Council on Sustainable Development did. They said, you know what? The people of the United States might not be too happy about this when they find out that they're having a plan imposed on them that they have no impact on, that they didn't know anything about. So we better do something else. We better commission another book called Sustainable America, A New Consensus, so that people can think that this is their idea. So what's consensus? Consensus is if all of us get together in this room and we work on something together and everybody gets heard and we hammer out whatever it is we're going to do until everybody agrees. That's real consensus. But a new consensus is neutralization of your enemies. Neutralizing the opposition. Neutralizing and converting. That is what the President's Council on Sustainable Development commissioned, the new consensus. So when you go to one of those visioning meetings, come on down. We want to know what you think about Maine 2025, or Mobilize Maine. How about that? Or Gateway 1. Or how about, how about the Waldoboro Revitalization Plan? You come in, you're usually in an elementary school, or you might be, so if you're in an elementary school, you're at desks where your knees are knocking against the table and you're feeling really little. and you get given the maps to color on. You get crayons, you get gold stars, and you get to crayon over somebody else's property and show what you'd really like to see there downtown. Now, the people who own that property didn't get invited to this meeting. And anybody who wants to show up can show up. And you know what? They don't advertise these meetings too well. So the reason for that is because they need consensus. They need buy-in. They need public support. Now, we live all spread out. We live in cities, towns. We're busy. So who shows up at these meetings? The people who got paid to go. The consultants there with their staff. Your government employees are there. Your boards and commissions are there. Your stakeholders are there. Those might be your insiders in your town. They're there because they're there to approve the plan. You might have wandered in by accident. You're going to be feeling pretty exposed if you don't go along with this plan. Because this plan is designed to be supported by the people, whether you like it or not. So how do they do that? They use the Delphi technique, which is a Rand Corporation mind control technique developed in the Cold War and used to move people from their point of view to a predetermined outcome while giving them the impression that it was all their idea. You're so smart. You came up with this plan all on your own. That's how it works. And don't you like it? And if you don't like it, well, we're going to shame you. We're going to mock you. We're going to embarrass you. We're going to laugh at you. We're going to shout you down. Because that is part of the plan too. That's communitarianism, right? Remember? The individual is balanced against the community, the mob. And when you're in those rooms and you get the feeling that everybody else likes it and you're the only one who doesn't, you might not feel too comfortable saying anything. And this is where we have to break it. And we're doing a good job of that around the country. And I'll tell you about it. So this plan does not allow for dissent. It's un-American, isn't it? It doesn't allow for dissent. Because you are being directed to a predetermined outcome. And you will go along to get along with this plan. You've been neutralized. So, for those who don't believe that this is a real plan, here is something that I like to show you, which is the rescue mission. It's called Rescue Mission. It's a book. Nice little book. Got pictures, colored pictures, drawings in it. It's called Rescue Mission Planet Earth, a children's edition of Agenda 21. Put out by the United Nations. It's by the children of the world. Yeah, I bet they got their royalties. What do you think? The children of the world. There's an introduction by Boutros Ghali, who is the Secretary General of the United Nations. Put out in 1994, and there's one little, it's all about how the planet's in danger, and oh, we're really messing it up, and aren't we bad? And let me just read you this one little cute thing in here. It says, the planet groans every time it registers another birth. So, this is for kids. Yeah. So here's a little workbook in the back of it. It says, turning Agenda 21 into action is a big challenge for us all. Thousands of people at the United Nations and in governments are working on it. This booklet will show parents and educators how children can start to be a part of this work. Yeah, they're indoctrinating our children. They are propagandizing and indoctrinating our children and our teachers and all of us. And this is the way the plan works. So, here's the deal. The idea is that life in the suburbs, and by the way, all of Maine is sprawl. I don't care about Portland. It's an interim city. Okay? You're in sprawl. You live on more than about 2,000 square feet of land. If your house is bigger than the bathroom in this building, you're in sprawl. That's right. So the idea is that, hey, life in the suburbs and in the rural areas is unsustainable. This is a greenhouse. It's unsustainable because we produce too many greenhouse gases, right? It's that evil sprawl, right? It costs too much to get public transportation out to the rural and suburban areas. This is the line. So that's the justification, right, for moving us into the dense city centers, into SmartGrowth. SmartGrowth, what is that? That is ground floor retail, right, it's mixed use. Ground floor retail, built with 12-foot high ceilings, built right to the edge of the sidewalk, 2 or 3 or more stories of residential apartments or condos on top of that. Then back there in the alley, around back, you got access for 1-car parking or less per unit. Around in the front, you got your wide sidewalk for your coffee shop that's in every single building. And you think I'm kidding. Actually, most of these buildings are empty right now. They're bankrupt right now. They are the hardscape for your future poverty. So out there in front, you've got your sidewalk, and then you've got your, what used to be your 4-lane street, you know, your 2 lanes each way. Well, now that's gone on a road diet. You thought you were the only one who had to go on a diet, but no, your road had to go on a diet too. And now there's only a 1 lane in each direction. There's a bike lane on either side and a median strip going down the middle. And that is going to make it real hard to get around, isn't it? Even in a small town, it's going to be hard to get around. And that is the plan. Because, remember what's unsustainable? Private vehicles, right? You got nowhere to park and you got nowhere to drive. And you say nobody's getting you out of your car. And don't forget, you've got vehicle miles travel taxes coming your way, and that means you get a GPS transponder on your vehicle that cannot be removed. And if you drive at all, you will be charged a vehicle miles travel tax. This is the plan. Along with that, you're going to see, even in your small towns, you'll see metered parking. And then you're going to see that you'll have time of use metering. This will come your way. Time of use metering. That means you want to park in the middle of the night. You want to drive up there and park at midnight? Oh, that's okay. That's only 25 cents an hour. You want to park at lunchtime and go eat? That's going to cost you $3 an hour. That's how it works. Time of use. So, how are they doing this? They are using an international group. It's one of the ways. They're using a lot of ways, but here's one big one. It's called ICLEI. It's the International Council on Local Environmental Initiatives. Okay? That's what they used to call it. Now they call it ICLEI, which stands for nothing. It's just those letters. Local Governments for Sustainability. Why? Because we're waking up to the fact that this is an international group headquartered in Bonn, Germany, and that its job is to monitor and control our energy and water. A foreign group will now have access to all details of your energy and water storage. And not only do they monitor and meter, but there are restrictions that are being imposed on every single community on how much energy you can use, right? You've got those greenhouse gas emissions, you're destroying the planet, we gotta bring that down. We gotta bring that down. So ICLEI is a non-governmental organization. It was created to implement Agenda 21 worldwide. It's sponsored by the UN, and in fact, they wrote Chapter 28 of Agenda 21. It's a stealth organization, and it says it represents 600 million people in 70 countries. Now, you may never have heard about it. I'm sure that they didn't let you know here. Well, let's see, who's a member? Well, let me just tell you first, it's a non-governmental organization, right? So there's no transparency. You can't find out what's going on at those meetings because it's not like your city council or your county supervisors where you can just go down there and you can find out what's happening. No, you can't do that with ICLEI. It's a private 501c3. But it's made up of local government officials. So it's a policy and legislation arm of United Nations Agenda 21. And guess who's a member? Belfast. I'm talking about Belfast, Maine. Biddeford. I don't know how to say this, but Doynham, Cape Elizabeth, Kennebunkport, Lewiston, Montville, Saco, Cranberry Isles, and Waterville, Maine, are all members of this group. Did you know that? Did you know that? Good. I'm glad you know it. All right. Your town may be a member. Now, if your town's not a member, don't worry, it will be if you don't stop it. Now, let me tell you something about Italy. You know that Rio de Janeiro Earth Summit in 1992, you know that there was a 20-year anniversary of it this past June, right? And they had their Rio Plus 20 thing. Oh, you're going to hear that's a big failure. Oh, we failed again. We didn't get what we wanted. Oh, that's screwed up. Oh, no good. That's a lie. Because what they did, it was very successful. What they did was they got commitments. What this is about, remember I said, it's a erasure of jurisdictional boundaries and the erection of a corporatocracy, a global totalitarian state. So what happened at Rio? They got a whole bunch of non-governmental organizations, those are those nonprofits, corporations, and governments together, and they got let me see if I can get this right. They got $500 billion in commitments, $500 billion in agreements made. That's a lot of money. It was not a failure. Now here's something that they don't show you now. If you go to Italy's website, I hope you're going to be shocked when you see this. You're going to wonder what this is. This is a map of the world, part of the map of the world. I was only able to grab a screenshot and then they took it down. It's gone. You can't find this anymore. This shows that Italy actually has 8,000 members worldwide. 8,000 members worldwide. Now, if you go on their website, it says they have 1,200 members worldwide. Yeah, you'll see them. There's some in there. Now, let me just tell you something else about this. Obama, when he ran the last time, I said I'm a Democrat. I am a Democrat. I did not vote for Obama. Yeah, it's because I'm not stupid. Well, I didn't vote for the other guy either. I voted for the Libertarian. I had never even knew who he was. Don't know who he is, I'm voting for him. Yeah. So, but Obama, when he was running last time, he said, I'm going to make a commitment for the United States. I'm going to commit the United States, and I doubt this means Michelle and Barack and the kids. I'm going to commit the United States to reduce our greenhouse gas emissions 80% below 1990 levels by the year 2050. Yeah, you shocked? Good. You haven't heard this one before? 80% below 1990 levels by the year 2050. So, of course, I'm a math person. You just heard I'm a commercial appraiser. A commercial appraiser. I don't appraise houses. I appraise the big stuff. I have to be able to do math. So I thought, this is interesting. 80% below 1990 levels. I wonder what year we were producing 80% of 1990 levels of greenhouse gases, right? So I found a chart. I looked for a chart. I finally found one. And I looked at it, and I did the math, and I put 80, okay, there we go. What year? What year were we, if you already know, don't tell. What year were we at 80% below 1990 levels?
1820.
1934. A fabulous, stellar year for the United States. Depths of the Depression. We weren't producing much of anything, right? But think about this. If you take us back, we have a lot more people now than we did in 1934, right? We've got an open border now, don't we? Anyway, so I am a Democrat. Hanging on. Somebody's got to take that party back. So anyway, okay, so 1934, but if you're looking at it on a per capita level, you're looking at a bigger reduction. We're looking at back in the 1880s. This is a war on industry, isn't it? This economic collapse is intentional. Yeah, no question about it. It's intentional. This is planned. So, all right, so here's something else. This thing is going up my nose. So, Okay, so what else happened? Kyoto. You remember the Kyoto thing? Kyoto Treaty. We did not, the United States did not ratify Kyoto, right? But that did not stop 1,055 United States mayors who did sign on to an agreement that looks a lot like Kyoto. In fact, it's exactly like Kyoto. What does it do? It says they're against sprawl, that's where you live. They're in favor of carbon trading. And they're going to do everything they can to get you off of those rural lands that you own now and that you work on. Okay? Now, which cities in Maine signed on to that one? Well, you're not going to be very surprised to find out that it was all the same ones who are ICLEI members, as well as others, including Yarmouth. And let's see, what else have I have here? Waterville, that's another one. And Falmouth, I don't see that one on there either. Okay, so those are cities that your mayor, the mayor, who was mayor at the time, signed on to that. Did he ask you? Did you find out about it? Did you hear about it, that you've now signed on to Kyoto? I don't think so.
Yeah. What year was that?
I don't know. I have this on my website. Oh wait, let me tell you. What city do you want to know?
That was our current governor.
Waterville was Paul LePage. Hey, how about it? That's right, Paul LePage. Yeah, where's Paul when we need him, huh? Where is he? He's not here tonight. That's right. It's a good thing, isn't it? Don't believe that. You know, hey, stupidity. You know what? That's very possible. But do you want someone who's so stupid that they don't know that they're giving your sovereignty away? I don't care if they do it on purpose or they're too stupid to know what they did. Either way, they're doing big damage to our nation. So, what else does ICLEI do? I want to tell you, it's a worldwide group. Good. It's a worldwide group. It also includes, who's on the Executive Steering Committee? The Executive Committee of ICLEI is the Organization of Islamic Capitals and Cities. Yeah, I thought you'd like that. And it says the organization, with a membership of 141 capitals and cities of Islamic countries, has long sought to promote its global status, striving for the realization of sustainable development for its members of Islamic capitals and cities. That's just a little factoid for you, kind of fun. Okay, so ICLEI did something else. They came up with the local Agenda 21 planning guide, and that tells your city and county how to do those visioning meetings that you get invited to. It's right in here. It tells them how to set them up in advance. And of course that's usually done by a consultant. Even though you pay your planning department, they're not doing this. You're hiring. You've got your planners in there doing who knows what, figuring out how to keep you from using your property. And then they're also paying millions of dollars in consultants on top of that. Because then they can say, oh, is that what the consultant did? Gee whiz, we had no idea. All right, there you go. So, the goal is the green mask of environmental concern. I call it the greenhouse gas mask. It's a hijacking of the environmental movement. There's two parts of Agenda 21. SmartGrowth, right? That's moving populations into concentrated city centers where you're going to have restricted mobility and you can be more easily monitored, controlled, and surveilled, right? And what's the other part? The wildlands. And you are fortunate here in Maine, you've got Dr. Michael Kaufman, so I'm sure you probably know about the wildlands, but I'm going to tell you too. So wildlands is about getting people out of the rural and suburban areas, blocking access to our wilderness roads and resources, and shifting land ownership from private to public. Yeah, that's what this plan is. So how are they doing it? I told you by 2002, Growing Smart was in every single planning department, every college and university in the entire United States. And that is when I, as a district branch chief for the California Department of Transportation, I am an appraiser. And I was an expert witness. It's my job to do large valuation, shopping centers, office buildings, things like that, when the government is going to put a road right there, through half of it. How much are they going to pay the guy who's losing part of his property? Well, an appraiser has to go down to the planning department and find out what can be done with that property in order to determine what the value is, right? So around 2002, I started seeing a planning revolution going on in the 9 counties of the San Francisco Bay Area. When I went into a planning department, I literally could not find out what someone could do with their property. And it appeared that the planning department was there solely to restrict people from using their property. They were in fact the gatekeepers, keeping people from using their property. And I was thrown out of planning departments. And I had to have the director call a supervisor and say, hey, can you get her into that planning department because they won't talk to her? Because I would go in there and yell and say, what do you think you're doing here? You think this is your job to stop people from using their property? How can I tell someone what their property is worth? How can I tell the government what to pay if I don't know what you can do with your property? So that's what happened in 2002. That's big. That's all. I thought it was just in the 9 counties of the Bay Area right at first. I researched it. I looked into it. It's everywhere. Okay, so how does this happen? Because you know about zoning, right? You all know about zoning. You got a zone, you buy that property, you got a zone. Your zone's C2, you know you can put something on it, you got a general idea of what you can do with it, right? Now, these general plans, the general plan comes below zoning. It is the base. It is the sort of the wish list. It is what your government has expectations of seeing in your city. You know, this is the orderly map. It doesn't have any little, you know, you don't have unusual properties mixed in there. It's like, we want to see all commercial on this street, we want to see all industrial over there. That's what it looks like. But right around this time, you started seeing mixed use and transit-oriented development. Now, and you saw form-based zoning. Now this trumps your zoning. I don't care what your zone. If you don't match up with what's on your general plan, when you go in there to develop your property, you're not going to be able to develop it for what you thought. You're going to have to put SmartGrowth there. Right? If you're zoned for mixed-use, transit-oriented development, you're not going to be putting that little mini mall or shopping center or whatever it is you think you're going to do. You're going to have to put ground floor retail with multi-stories of residential on top of that. And if you're within what's called a transit village, if you're somewhere near a transit hub, that's pretty much what you're going to be zoned. You're going to be general plan. Your zoning might still show the original zoning, but when you go to use your property, you're going to find you cannot do what you thought. And this is an incredible thing, isn't it? Because it happens property by property, person by person. It's not that you can all go in together. You don't all see it happening together. These plans impact us as individuals. So, those comprehensive and general plans, they require SmartGrowth. They are designed for that. And here's the cover of the Marin County General Plan. That's a county right next to the county that I live in. You don't need to see this. It's a nice county, pretty county, wealthy county. Right inside the general plan for Sonoma County, California, this is the image for United Nations Agenda 21 Sustainable Development. These are the 3 pillars: environment, ecology, and social equity. And right there in the center, where they're in balance, that's sustainability. Okay? You will find that in many general plans, all across the nation. And if you don't see the symbol, you'll see the words: social equity, environment, and economy. You will see those 3 words together. That's a tag for you. That's something to recognize. So, federal and state transportation money comes through. You want to get any money? You want to get federal money? You want to get state transportation dollars? That money comes to you through your metropolitan planning organization or your council of government. There are over 500 of those in the U.S. You've got 10 of them in Maine. There's 10 of them here in Maine. They're going to determine who gets the money. Now, if you want that money, you're building SmartGrowth. Okay? Gateway 1. If you want that money, that transportation money in your corridor, you're going to identify priority development areas where you're going to put smart growth. The money is directed through those regional boards. Now those boards are not elected, right? What do we have in this country? City, county, state, and federal, right? Representative government, you elect those people. You don't like them, you try and get rid of them. But a regional board is not elected. It may be made up of elected officials, but you have no impact on that regional board. So your money is being directed through a regional board. Your tax money, your federal and state tax money is being regulated and restricted through that metropolitan planning organization and those councils of government. So in Maine, there was a 2003 amendment to your 1991 Sensible Transportation Policy Act. You gotta love it, don't you? Sensible Transportation Policy Act. That's where they linked transportation and housing. When transportation and housing get linked together, that's when your federal transportation dollars can be used to subsidize smart growth. And that's what they're doing. They're using our tax money to subsidize. What is subsidized? They are paying for private development, public-private partnerships, development of smart growth. Okay? So, yeah, you get your visioning projects, you get your HUD grants. Now this is your housing and urban development, right? You get HUD grants, big HUD grants. Now Maine got a HUD grant back in 2010. What's it for? It's for planning. Sustainable Communities Regional Planning Grant. What did it go for? It went for visioning meetings and doing your general plan maps. Okay, for just a couple of cities. Portland got a bunch of money, and I forget the other one. $2.4 million. Just about every year, HUD gives out $100 million for these planning grants. We're not talking about buildings. We're talking about planning. Planning grants. That's where the money goes. Remember, this plan, and I'm talking about the larger plan, the Agenda 21, Sustainable Development Plan is about sinking your economy, destroying your economy, taking your tax dollars and wasting them. And this is what this does, right? You got $100 million a year for planning grants. Gee, I wonder if the planners are happy. Yeah. So here in Maine, you got Mobilize Maine, right? That's a public-private partnership with Fairpoint Communications. Fairpoint went bankrupt, you know? Okay, I knew you knew that. And along with them, it's the United States Department of Agriculture. So the three of them together, right? You got Mobilize Maine, Fairpoint Communications, and the USDA together for the Southern Maine Partnership for Sustainable Development. It's not just Southern Maine, though. There's 6 regions in Maine, so it's all over Maine. We split Maine up into 6 pieces. Okay? Asset-based community economic development. Asset-based. Now, you thought an asset, let me just tell you this because you're going to love this. I hope you really love this because I do. Asset-based. Now, you think of an asset as, maybe something you're holding in the bank, right? It's your assets. I don't know. You got some stocks or something, you got some property, that's assets. You are the asset. You are considered an asset. Asset-based is not just your timber, not just your land, not just your oil and gas, not just your water, not just your buildings. It is also you. Asset-based. Asset-based community economic development, and you'll also see just asset-based community development, ABCD, asset-based community development. I'm saying asset, not acid. And this is where, I'm going to take some, I guess. And this is where you are the asset. This is a neighborhood plan to make you the asset, identify you, and then identify all your skills and have you do your mandatory volunteering. We're going to talk about that in a little while, but here it is. You are the asset. So, New Hampshire, what is it? You are also part of Connect Northern New England. You thought you were connected, huh? By the way, am I against regional planning? No. you need to plan. Everybody plans. You get up in the morning, you make a plan for your day, you make a plan for your life, right? You also have regional plans, transportation plans. You need to know that that road is not going to end at the end of your city or your county or your state, right? This is why you need regional transportation plans. This is not that. This is about combining transportation and housing. Because the plan is to move people out of the rural and suburban areas into the city centers. And because there is no demand for smart growth, nobody wants it. How many of you are living in that? How many of you live in an apartment on the second floor over a shop? Oh, nobody's raising their hand. Okay, so nobody wants that. Most people don't want it. If you're 16 or 18 or 22, you might think that's kind of fun for a while until you want a dog, or until you want some privacy, or until you want to have a kid, or until you what? Anything. Until you want to move into a little house, or have some land, or do something out on some property, okay? But this plan restricts your ability to do that, and there's no desire for it in the market. That means real estate developers aren't going to build it, right? Because it's going to go bankrupt, because nobody wants to move into it. And also that downstairs retail stuff, that's real expensive to rent. It's a lot more expensive than what was there before they knocked that old building down. So that's going to be empty. So that needs government subsidies. That needs your tax dollars. That's where these plans come in, because they're able to use your transportation tax dollars for these things. Now here's where you are. You're part of Connect Northern New England. That includes New Hampshire, Vermont, and Maine. This is your region, part of your region, your micro region, let's say. Your 40 counties, 3.3 million people. One vision, no boundaries. Okay? You get grants from HUD, DOT, Department of Energy, EPA. All of those agencies were on the President's Council on Sustainable Development, right? Okay. This is Agenda 21. This is what it looks like. What does it look like? Climate action plans, which identifying priority development areas and priority conservation areas in your area, visioning for sustainable development, community partnerships, public-private partnerships, nonprofits, corporations, and government joining together, right? Livable communities, one planet communities, complete streets, transit-oriented development, transit villages. That's what it goes by. That's what you're going to see, okay? It's regional government. It is, what is it? Yes, that's right. It is tyranny. It is non-representational government. It is government by unelected boards and commissions. It's the unelected shadow government. It is sold to you as an economic driver. You want to be able to compete? You're going to have to join. You're going to have to be okay with this regional thing, with this regional idea. Now, I'll tell you, all regional plans are the same. We are spending millions of dollars, sometimes hundreds of millions of dollars for these regional plans, right? They're all the same. One Bay Area, one Valley, one Vision, one Region, one Vision, Plan New York, Plan Eastern Tennessee, 32 counties, 4 states, one vision. That's West Virginia, Maryland, Pennsylvania, and Ohio. 17,000 square miles. The Hanoi Center Regional Plan in Hanoi, Vietnam is the same plan as One Bay Area in San Francisco. It's all the same plan. All the same plan. You're visioning on somebody else's property, and that vision is that you are going to be moved into dense city centers, okay? Now, who's in on it? A lot of governments are, partnering with Siemens Corporation, with IBM. You'll see that Siemens is really pushing smart growth, and of course, Siemens is a German corporation, was almost bankrupt during right before World War II. They were almost going out of business there until Hitler generously supplied them with slave labor from the concentration camps. Siemens, you will see Siemens being a big proponent of that rail, high-speed and light rail that is designed to fail and sink your money. Right down, right down. So smart growth is an ideology. It's not just a design style. It's an ideology. There's transit villages. Those you're going to have food sheds. I'm not going to go into that now, but basically that's where your food's going to come from. You think you got plenty of land all around? No, it's going to be restricted. You're going to be growing your food right around your transit village, formerly your city, right around your transit village. And if you can't grow it there, you're not eating it. And one can think to themselves, well, the number of people who are living in the city is dependent on how much food you can grow, right? So, if you want to marry somebody, move them into the town, or you want to have a baby, or maybe you're going to have to wait for somebody to die or leave, right? Or we'll just reduce your caloric allotment. I'm making that up. But I'm not making up food sheds and transit villages. You can go to Cornell University, put in your search engine, put in Cornell University and food sheds, and that will come up and you will see it. This is the real deal. So we're talking about winners and losers. We're talking about going from city, county, state, and federal to global, regional, neighborhood. What do all three of those have in common? None of them are elected, right? None of them are elected. Now it gets worse. Don't get depressed. We're going to win this. But here it is. You've got to know. Before you can work on it, you've got to know. So here it is. It gets worse. It's 11 mega regions. You thought we had 50 states. No. We have 11 mega regions in the United States. And this is not the country got chopped up into 11 pieces. No. This is that we have 11 mega regions that are comprising about 26% of the nation's land and 74% of the population right now. Now, right here in Maine, you're part of the Northeast mega region that goes from northern Virginia all the way up into Maine, west to the Appalachians, and east to the Atlantic. It's part or all of 11 states: Virginia, Maryland, Delaware, Pennsylvania, New Jersey, New York, Connecticut, Rhode Island, Massachusetts, New Hampshire, and Maine. Part or all. Part. Remember, this plan breaks jurisdictional boundaries. It is designed to break jurisdictional boundaries. How about this? Cascadia is what they call the regional mega region in the Northwest. That includes part of Oregon, part of Washington, and part of Canada. The Southern California mega region includes part of Mexico. Yeah, we're talking about the real deal here. Here you are in the Northeast mega region, 50 million people, 142 counties, hundreds of cities. Now, you think you can't get your city council to pay attention to you? What are you going to do when you want to? Well, I'll tell you, how about these regional boards? I mean, we don't even have to go to the idea, the reality of mega regions. Those regional boards, you don't know where they are. They move from one county to the other, sometimes one state to the other. Did I tell you? Did I say? What was it? What did I say? I said Vermont, Maine, and New Hampshire. One vision. And it's all your vision. You're so smart, you came up with it all on your own. That's right. High-speed rail is the building block for these mega regions. You want to look at America2050.org. You think I'm making it up? I am not. These are where you'll find mega regions. They are a project of the Regional Plan Association, which is itself a project of the Lincoln Land Institute and the Urban Land Institute, funded by the Doris Duke Charitable Foundation and many other groups, including your federal government. High-speed rail, as I said, is designed to fail. What do we have in California? We just voted for this high-speed rail thing. They say Californians, if they were given an opportunity, they would vote it down now, but you don't get that opportunity now. So what? It was first we were going to have, be able to go from San Francisco to San Diego by 2033. Now it's way out there, but they're going to still take your pennies off your sales tax for the rest of your life, and your kids' lives, and everybody else's lives, until a penny's a dime or whatever. Okay, this is the way it's designed. It's designed to fail. Now they've got, in California, people are kind of pissed off about it. They're saying, hey, wait a minute, we don't like this plan. You guys better do something. And they're like, okay, we're going to build the first leg of this high-speed rail from San Francisco to San Diego. We're going to build it, well, we're going to build this train from Fresno to Bakersfield. Yeah, now some of you who know California know that it's from nowhere to nowhere, but it's flat. That's right. It's easy. It's an easy way to say we're doing the right thing. Hey, don't you want to get from Fresno to Bakersfield? I want to personally get out of Fresno to Bakersfield as fast as possible. Excuse me, Fresno, Bakersfield. They feel the same. What can I say? Okay, so it's designed to fail, and if you want to see what it looks like, look at the European Union. The European Union started as a trade agreement. Little did they know they were going to lose their sovereignty. I just spoke at what was it? It was an international global governance conference. I didn't know I was talking about global governance until I went to this conference. Now I love it. I get to say I talk on global governance. This gives me a chance to feel people out when I'm sitting next to them on a plane, so that I get to see if they go, oh, isn't that great? And then I kind of think, okay, I know who you are. Then I say, or they say, what is that? And I say, sustainable development. They say, oh, that's great. Because people think sustainable development means that you are recycling. They think it means that you are turning off the tap when you're brushing your teeth. No, that is not what it is. That is not what it is. Hey, I considered myself an environmentalist. My partner built an entire 2-story house out of recycled materials. She's a general contractor. An entire 2-story house out of recycled materials. I very seldom buy anything new. You know, I recycle all that stuff. This is not about that. This is about restricting your ability to move freely in your nation, to own your private property, and to live where you wish. Okay? That's what this plan is. Now, if you have any doubts, let me tell you that the United Nations plan, policy on land use, was established in 1976 at their UN Conference on Human Settlements. That's Habitat 1, right? They said land cannot be treated as an ordinary asset. It's kind of funny. Glenn Beck read this on his show, right? It was kind of neat. And he read this quote, and I got to seem like I was so smart, because I said, yes, that comes from the Habitat 1, 1976. Well, I knew, because it's in my speech. It's kind of great. So here it is. Land cannot be treated as an ordinary asset, controlled by individuals. This is the philosophy of the United Nations. You own your house? You own your land? You own a business? Well, here's what they think about it. And here's what you've signed on to. Land cannot be treated as an ordinary asset controlled by individuals and subject to the pressures and inefficiencies of the market. Oh, no. Private land ownership is a principal instrument of the accumulation of wealth, and therefore contributes to social injustice. Remember that circle, social equity. Social equity, what does that mean? It means nobody is worth more than anyone else, both intrinsically and extrinsically, except, of course, the planners. So, public control of land use is therefore indispensable. Public control of land use is therefore indispensable. Now, if you have doubts about communitarian law, this is communitarian law. Look no further than the Kelo decision, right? Just down the road here, Connecticut, the Kelo decision, Supreme Court decision, 2005. Now, most people, when you talk to them about it, they say, oh yeah, that was the decision that said that the government could take one person's property and give it to somebody else. No, it wasn't, because redevelopment already does that. And redevelopment is a funding and implementation arm of United Nations Agenda 21, Sustainable Development. But what Kelo did was it said that, hey, you know, under the Fifth Amendment of the Constitution, you're guaranteed, when you are taken by eminent domain, when your government acquires your property against your will, you are guaranteed just compensation when your property is taken for a public use. A public use. A road, a school, a hospital, a public use. But the Kelo decision redefined public use. They said it's anything that your government says it is. It's anything that makes your government more tax money. It's for the greater good. The end justifies the means. That is communitarianism. That's what it looks like. So here's where it is. We're here in Maine. We are in the wildlands. That's where we are right now. We're in the wildlands. Now the wildlands is the other part of this. The smart growth is the urban part. That's where your future is if you don't stop this plan. The wildlands is a plan to remove human beings and human activity from rural and suburban areas. They also use these extreme population projections, right? It's like, oh, people are going to be flowing in here. We got to figure out what to do with all these people, so we're going to have to build smart growth. Before they come, it's like, what does it take? 18 months to get the permits to build a building in a normal world? But no, you got to build it now and have it sit vacant. It's sucking your dollars, your tax dollars, and your infrastructure costs from now until whenever you rural people get moved into it. So we need linkages. This is the story here. This is the green mask here. We need linkages. We need corridors. Unsustainable dams, reservoirs, erosion control, flood control, straightening rivers, brush cutting, forestry management, and dust, of course. What are they doing now in the wildlands? They're releasing wild carnivores into the wild. You know that, right? They're releasing those wolves, you know, those cute little Canadian wolves that whelp 8 pups to the 2 that are native. The native wolves only whelp 2 pups. The Canadian wolves are pretty tough. They can take down an elk. 2 of them can take down an elk. But if you, like me, are solicited by the Sierra Club every once in a while, they send out these really cute pictures of these little wolf pups. They're so darling. Anything little is cute, right? I don't care what it is. Godzilla, a baby Godzilla, that's cute. So here's these little wolves, right? They're so cute. And it says, hey, without wolves, you wouldn't have anything that would be able to kill and cull the herd of the elk populations. Gee, I don't know how they got along up to now, but that's what they say, without the wolves. So they are releasing wild carnivores. We're bringing back the grizzly, we're bringing back the Florida panther, bringing back wolves all over. You got coyotes coming into urban areas now, coyotes. So, okay, what's it look like? I'm hoping you can see this. I tried to make it visible. I'm going to do it like this. You can see it. This is our country. This is our country in Mexico. This is our country in Canada. There's no boundaries on here, and you're going to see that. You know why? Because animals don't know there's a boundary. That's right. So what else do you see on here? You see these arrow corridor things, right? Gee, that sure looks like it's taken up a whole lot of our country, doesn't it? Does that look like it's taken up? Well, who needs Arizona, New Mexico, Colorado, Washington, Oregon, Montana, Utah, Maine? What are these things? These are the corridors. These are the wild ways. This is supposed to be for animals so that they can live free or die. Okay, so they don't own this land. This is where land trusts come in. Land trusts, conservation easements, and yeah, they will buy the core properties that they want. And a lot of times those are owned by their pals, their cronies. They're going to kick them a few $1 million to buy their development rights. Right. Nobody can do anything now anyway, we know that, right? Hey, tell me this. Just thinking here, tell me this. If you get to sell your development rights when you're selling a conservation easement, how come it is that when you go in there to get a permit, they say you can't use your property for anything, they don't pay you? Right? That's a regulatory taking. You can't use your property for what you thought you could use it for, but you know it's not a regulatory taking unless all of the value of the property is taken. Absolutely all of it. That's how they get around it. So what is this thing? It's Yellowstone to Yukon. Yellowstone to Yukon? I mean, come on. We're talking about huge areas. We're talking about right now in this country 60 million acres of roadless areas. This is wilderness, okay? So let's get to Maine. We're talking about 2 countries, 1 forest. 5 states, 4 provinces. 2 countries, 1 forest. Do you know about that? You do. I'm impressed. I won't talk about it anymore. So, no boundaries. You thought it was. You're not getting away that easy. You have to move on.
There's a corner, I don't know.
Okay. Let me get some water. It's over here. Isn't this fun? I want you not to be, I know it's shocking and it's heavy. And if you don't think it is, you should. And I'm glad to see some young people here. Thank you for being here. Thank you. Good. And thank you for being here. We need more young people at these meetings. Okay, so 2 countries, 1 forest. This is the Open Space Conservancy, Inc. Wildlife Fund. Saving New England's Wildlife Fund. It's a grant from the Doris Duke Charitable Foundation. Sound familiar? The Urban Land Institute, Lincoln Land Institute, Regional Plan Association. No boundaries. We're talking about the Northern Forest Land Study Area, Wildland Reserves. We're talking about core, buffer, and corridors. It doesn't leave much. It doesn't leave much for you. Maine Earth First, by the way, still has a website. Has a website up. What does it say on there? Visualize. Everybody's got vision. You know, you want to be an optometrist these days. It's all about vision. Visualize industrial collapse. Yeah, visualize that. Let's visualize that. Okay, you want to look into your nonprofits that are partnering with corporations and government. They are pressuring and influencing this regionalization. Your Northeast landscapes, look at Northeast landscapes on the Regional Plan Association website. Northeast landscapes, they've given you a report of what they want to do. They want to control, this is government and public-private partnership, government and nonprofit, wanting to take conservation easements and restrictions on all of your use. The goal is to ultimately move you completely out of these areas. You will lose your ability to timber, oil and gas, minerals, water. This is the thing, is that when your rights are taken, this is the lie. The lie of conservation easements is that you're going to be able to farm forever. We're doing this to keep you and your property forever, keep you and your family there forever. Well, what's the real deal? The real deal is that they acquire your development rights. You are then under the thrall, under the thumb. Oh, I forgot I was going to say something earlier. The thumb thing reminded me. But you're under the thumb of that holder of the conservation easement. Isn't that right? They now can restrict your ability to use your property. Now, you think you have agreed, you think you know what you've agreed to, but this may be a living document where they can change and restrict your ability to use your property, where you can have someone who is from that conservation nonprofit come onto your property and monitor your use, where your use is, what your use is, and how you can use your property. And then when you want to grow that property, let's say you want to put another house on there because you've got 2 kids and they don't want to live in the same house, you're not going to get permits for that second house. So you may have to have one kid buy the other one out. You may have difficulty getting a loan on that property because there are restrictions on its use and it's difficult to value. You may also need to sell that property, and you might sell it to the underlying conservation holder, right? The one who's got the easement. When the fee and the easement come together, that extinguishes the easement. They can then do what they want with the property. So another thing about land, up here you've got, what is this? You thought you had trees out there. They're not. They're really a carbon sink. That's what that is, a carbon sink. Carbon offsets are permanent paths of wealth extraction from energy and water users, right? Because why? Because when we pay our utility bill, those utilities are going to have to acquire, you're going to have to pay carbon offsets for the creation of that energy. And we will end up having to pay. Our costs on our utilities will keep going up and up because they will be fixed or increased costs even while we conserve. So even while we conserve, our energy and water costs will keep going up. This is the way this plan is designed. It's about the true cost of energy delivery. So, okay, I'm just going to do one last thing with wildlife, with the wildlands, and here it is. This is a battle over Hetch Hetchy. Now, you're not in California, but this is a plan this fall. San Franciscans are going to vote on a local measure with national implications. Hetch Hetchy is in the Yosemite area. It was a beautiful valley that got flooded so there would be a water source for San Francisco and for other cities. What does it hold? It's a 117 billion gallon reservoir now. Well, what's happening? Environmentalists want to drain it. They want to release the water out of Hetch Hetchy so that that beautiful valley can be repopulated again with animals. Sounds great, doesn't it? So, who's pushing for it? You're going to be surprised. On one side are Republican lawmakers and environmentalists, including Ronald Reagan's former Interior Secretary. They want the dam removed and the valley restored. Yeah, the other side of the Democrats who happen to just be like Feinstein and Pelosi, where are they from? San Francisco. They're like, what? Hey, wait a second, we wanted that for everybody else, not for us. That's our water. What does the mayor say? The mayor of San Francisco, he says, oh, this is cool. But let me just tell you this first. This is the guy who was under Reagan, Donald Hoodell. He says, former Interior Secretary, he says, I think it will be hard to quell this idea of restoration. It's like ideas of freedom in a totalitarian regime. Once planted, they're impossible to repress forever. This is part of it, you guys. This is called flipping. They're doing the totalitarian thing. They're flipping it onto us, and they're saying that we, by denying them their ability to restrict our use, we're being totalitarians because we're trying to tell them what to do. Yeah, this is called flipping. It's actually a term that's used on you. You know, I mean, I've had it used on me many times. I get accused of all kinds of things, and it's like, what? You know, it's like accusing me, it's like they're accusing me of being prejudiced against short white women with white hair. You know, and I'm like, well, wait a second. Okay, here we go. Here's what the mayor of San Francisco says. He says, this is a ridiculous idea. It's a Trojan horse for those that wish to have our public tricked into believing that we have an adequate substitute for this huge reservoir. Hey, 2/3 of the water from the system is sold to other cities. Turbines from its dams generate power for the city of San Francisco. 7% of California's population is dependent on this water. That's the wildlands. That's the wildlands. So here it is. This is the only economy we're going to have. This is all we're going to have left. We're going to have taxes, fines, fees, lawsuits, and government grants. That's it. That's it. Hey, you're hearing when your regional plans are telling you about tourism, right? Oh, you got to do everything you can to get those tourists here. Oh man, you got to make it look good. We need tourism. We got to have tourism. We don't do anything else. We can't do anything else. We need tourists. Okay, well what is that? That's the same dollar. I spend it here, you save, you come and spend it in my town. Only you only have 50 cents left, and then pretty soon I come back and I have a quarter, and then pretty soon you have a dime, and you come back and then whoop, uh-oh, nothing. We got nothing. Agenda 21 is a plan to produce social equity by impoverishing populations and creating total dependence on government. You want to see austerity measures? Look at the EU. The corporatocracy is tightening the screws. Austerity measures. This is what we're looking at. We're looking at the public-private corporatization of our private and public assets, right? Water, sewer, energy, prisons. That's my favorite. That's my favorite public-private partnership, right? What do prisons need? They need prisoners. That's right. How do you get prisoners? You make more things crime. You make sentences longer, right? Under using the cover of environmentalism, the rigid control of a totalitarian state is in progress right now. And that is what's behind the green mask. A totalitarian state being erected right now in our nation, around the world. People say to me, they come up to me after my speeches, I always get this. People come up and they go, hey Rosa, so where can we go? Where's the safe place? Where's the Switzerland? There is no place. You stay right here in Waldoboro and you fight. So here's what it looks like. You got your you think I'm making this up? Totalitarian state? The USA Patriot Act and the National Defense Authorization Act. That's what it is. That's what it is. Designates the world, the whole world, as the battlefield. And it gives government the right to detain and murder U.S. citizens in the homeland. Now, that did get stopped by a federal judge. Huh? What? I'm talking here. But, that did get stopped by a federal judge, but who knows for how long. They tried it, they pushed it, they signed it. The FBI right now, without a warrant, can get your hotel records, your bank records, your internet records, and your phone records without a warrant. More and more things are being identified as crime. Well, my favorite little crime, I love this. Colorado boy 6, suspended, 6 years old, suspended in sexual harassment case. This is in May, just this last May, a little first grader. Have you seen that video? I'm sexy and I know it. You know that tune, I'm sexy and I know it? That's a nasty video. It's nasty. The kid shouldn't have even seen it in the first place. It's stupid. Okay, so what did he do? He went to school, a little 6-year-old kid. He hardly knows he's a boy and she's a girl. He's singing I'm sexy and I know it. And he's doing this little dance. What had happened to him? He got sent home with, well, let's see. They accused him of sexual harassment. There is no age limit. The Aurora Police Department says it's not involved. Why? Because laws only cover children ages 10 and older. Yeah, well, you 10-year-old. No, not you. You would never do anything like that. You look like you're a little bit younger than that. But anyway, we're talking about crime. We're talking about crime. We're talking about labeling you for the rest of your life as a, what? You betcha. That's right. Okay. Now, what else is going on? You've got, of course, I know you know about the Utah Spy Center. Well, I was thinking, the 1.5 million square foot center being built to out there in Utah to hold all of your internet records, all of your phone records, and your whole thing, your entire life. If you forget something, you just go over there and they got it. You ask them, excuse me, I can't find my bank records. Can you tell me if I paid this bill or not? They'll be happy to do it. And yeah, it's in real time. That's why they need 1.5 million square feet. Is that 1.5 million square feet? Yeah, that's a lot. That's pretty big. Okay, right now, where are they? They're in Baltimore, Maryland, but they had to get out of Baltimore, Maryland. Why? Because they used up all the power of the city of Baltimore running this thing. They're moving out to Utah because they got a lot more power available out there. Orrin Hatch wanted them out there. And I thought to myself, well, geez, we laid down in front of the troop trains during Vietnam. Where are we? Why aren't we stopping this 1.5 million square foot, what is it, a spy center out there in Utah? It's called the Comprehensive National Cybersecurity Initiative. Okay, why aren't we out there? Well, why not? It's because it's on Camp Williams. It's on an Army base. So I'm sure you would have been running right out there to get in front of them anyway. But that's what it is. It's on a military base. You can't get to it. That's all of your information right there. This is a surveillance plan. All totalitarian states share the same characteristics. We think it can't happen here. We have a reputation. Well, of course, this is a worldwide thing. I'm not going to insult my own people that much. But we think that it can't happen here for some reason. What do we think? We're better? We think we're better than other people. We're just the same as other people, except we have a constitution. and we have something where we believe that the individual's rights are paramount. We believe that our Bill of Rights is important to us. But all totalitarian states, they share the same characteristics. Total control of property, means of production, and resources. That's one. 2, total information. Surveillance. Loss of free speech. This is all part of this. And restricted movement. This is all part of this, right? Does it look familiar? They also share the same philosophy. It's all for the common good. It's all for the common good. You individual, you are selfish. It's all for the common good. What else? The Spartan present. Austerity. We need to reduce our use. We need to restrict our usage of energy and land and water. I don't know about you, I must have a huge carbon footprint. I fly all over this grand and fabulous country of ours, and I look down a lot. And what do I see? I see a lot of land. I see agricultural properties, mainly. We are an agricultural nation. You know, I could drive off the road before I had a cell phone here in Maine. I could have driven off the road somewhere, and it would be days before you'd find me, if you ever did. We got a big country. We've got a lot of resources. We are conserving. We are mindful of our use. That is not what this is about. It is the Spartan present. That is what this shares with other totalitarian states. The Spartan present. We will pull in. We will restrict. We will believe that there is not enough. A philosophy of scarcity that is created by government regulations. Okay, what else? We share the vision of the glorious future. It's going to be great when SmartGrowth is in. It's going to be so good. You're going to love it. Its skies are going to be blue all the time. You're going to be on your bike downstairs in the coffee shop. You're not going to have to work. Nobody's working. You're checking everybody out, though, because you've got eyes on the street. That's part of this plan. Surveillance. Oh, there goes the drum. But I'm not doing anything. What else? What else do you have? This glorious future. It doesn't matter. It never rain or snow wherever you live, so you can ride your bike everywhere. This is the vision of the glorious future. Trains. There goes the train. Right? It's beautiful. What else do they? What else? What else? Totalitarian state. What else? Terror. Terror. The war on terror is a war on you. The war on terror is a war on you. You flown lately? I feel guilty. I know I did something. Every time I fly. Now, I don't do the hokey pokey through that thing. I don't do that. They say, hey, what are you? What's the matter with you? That's not an x-ray. There's nothing wrong with that thing. I'm like, yeah, just do pat down. One wants pat down over here. Pat down, female pat down, pat down, pat down, pat down. That's what you're cut out of the herd, right? You're standing there, you got your shoes off, you're feeling kind of baby. I'm a little baby. I'm standing here on the side while everybody goes by and doesn't look at me. I got cut out of the herd. I don't exist anymore. I must have done something wrong. Now I wait. Now here she comes. Get over there. Put your hands up. Get your feet on the thing. Stand, take legs apart. Okay, here I am. So here's what I do. This is why I have to get to the airport a half an hour early every time. I go, so this is all you can think of to do for a living? Have you asked yourself if there's anything you won't do for them? Is this the only thing you could think to do for money? Is search innocent people? Every once in a while you get a new one. One of the ones who actually says something when you say that. They're not supposed to say anything to you. So they get pissed too. They do get real mad. They usually drag it out, make you wait a long time, lose your stuff. I run a lot. Well, the only exercise I can. And, so I'll be in there, and every once in a while you get somebody who is new at the job, who says, well, they'll tell you what the one thing they can think of that they're not going to be willing to do. But they never say they're not willing to shoot you, or hurt you, or stop you for the job. They'll do whatever it takes for that job. Revolution is bad for business. This is a corporatocracy. Communism, fascism, Nazism. All for the fatherland. All for the homeland. This is what a communitarian state looks like. This is what a communitarian state looks like. This is what the erection of a communitarian state looks like. This is what a totalitarian state looks like. It's all for the common good. Okay, so who's doing it to you? I'm almost done here. I want you to know who's doing it to you. You need to know. Bank of America put out this nice pamphlet. It's called Removing the Roadblocks, How to Make Sustainable Development Happen Now. Does that look good? Can't wait to move into that. They put this together with the American Bar Association. On common ground, SmartGrowth, National Association of Realtors. It's all about SmartGrowth and how great SmartGrowth is. Healthy eating, active living. You're going to see these plants. You'll see them as blue zones. You're going to see all these healthy. You're fat. You're obese. Obesity is it's about to be a crime. You got a fat kid, you're in trouble. But it's an epidemic. My goodness. So, what are we going to do? We're going to have healthy eating, active living plans that what? They tell you that you have to change your zoning ordinances. Yeah, because it's a smart growth plan. That's what it is. Okay, your universities. Universities. You know, I happen to have gotten my degree in Middle English. Harfried, dat adequate, dat niet in het home, je clever me. All right, okay, so what? I'm not going to hurt anybody with that. You know, I got micro with it. So what? When you get somebody who's got their degree in how to stop you from using your property, and they get out of school, and what do they want to do? They want to stop you from using your property. That's right. They want to be a planner. They want to go to work for a consultant. They want to restrict and assist in creating regulations. This is what they do. That's, you know, here's one, Oregon State University, Sustainability for the Common Good, 3 credits. That's a core course for the BA. So you've got lawyers, consultants, planners, big business, bike coalitions. Bike coalitions. They go down and beat the drum for smart growth. That's what they want, smart growth. I guess bikes, no, I have a bike, I ride a bike, it's not my religion. So, here's the American Planning Association. They just put out a 12-week-long communications boot camp for planners, where they re-indoctrinated and re-propagandized planners so that they would know how to deal with us. What did they say? They say you need to go and inoculate elected officials against people like us, people who are going to speak the truth. You need to go and tell elected officials that there's nothing behind the curtain and don't go look at it. That's what planners are supposed to do. Your churches? You got a church talking about sustainable development, you better go have a chat with your pastor. Mary Evelyn Tucker, she's Yale. She's at Yale, Forestry and Religion. What did she say? She was given an address to Oregon State University. She said churches have to adopt the ecology model or disappear. Walmart, unions, AFL-CIO in 2001, they said, what? They condemned sprawl and they endorsed smart growth. Why? Because most union members are in cities. Smart meters, I don't know about you, but 3 o'clock in the morning, you go to turn your light on, you just center you. Nothing happens. Why? Because it can be remotely shut off. Smart meters are going to be not just for gas and electricity, but for water as well. What are you going to say in your communitarian meetings when you know that you might be able to, what, freeze to death? So, I know it's kind of negative, huh? I have a good sense of humor. I'm keeping my sense of humor here. Because I'm going to have a real good time when we beat this thing. And I don't blame you if you're feeling overwhelmed, because who doesn't? This is an attack. It is an assault. It is a globalist coup. It is actually an administrative coup d'etat, and it's being implemented through regulations. It is worldwide. But you are the resistance. You are the resistance. This is what the resistance looks like all across the United States of America and the world. There is a huge, worldwide, nonpartisan resistance. People are fighting this worldwide. So what do? You want to educate yourself. There's no silver bullet here. I don't know whether you've been watching Who's Dancing with My Wife or whatever. But now's the time. Now's the time to get on and check it out and recognize. You've got to recognize these plans. You take your local newspaper. I don't care if it's a lousy thing. Of course it is. They all are. You take the paper and you start looking at neighborhood revitalization, redevelopment, bike lanes, bike boulevards, regional plans. This is what it is, regional plans. And you want to go down. And I have in my book, which you're going to get, there's 20 pages in the back of my book on how to fight this. I'm not trying to sell you my book. I'm not up here like some huckster, snake oil salesman. I want to beat this thing. My dad said to me, he goes, Rosa, what are you going to do when you beat this thing? You're not going to be able to sell your book anymore. I said, Daddy, that's the point. So we want to anti-Delphi these meetings. You want to know how to take these meetings down. When you go to these Delphi meetings, you want to know what to do. And there is a very well laid out plan for taking down these meetings, and we are doing it all across the country. We've got some great people here. We're actually filming this from New Hampshire. Came up here from New Hampshire. I was just in New Hampshire. There are people all across the United States who are active, who are with you. We have a huge country, and we don't realize how many of us are on this fight, who are into this and ready and fighting. Because why? Our newspapers are corporate owned. Mega corporations own our papers. They are not telling us, unless you get some lousy thing like stuff written about me that smears it, that lies, that calls us conspiracy theorists or tinfoil hat people, right? You're going to get that. That's what's going to happen, right? But you have to look past that. You have to find your information on the people's media. And you go to our website. You want to educate yourself. And then you educate others. We are using flyers. Now this is very powerful. You get flyers together. You get flyers. This is one flyer we did to stop a huge redevelopment project. We put out 7,000 of these. We ended up suing to stop this redevelopment project. We lost at the Superior Court level, but I raised $500,000 to do this lawsuit with these flyers. And then we lost again at the appellate level, but during that time, redevelopment died in California. We were able to save our town. You want to use flyers. You want to get flyers out. We have them for you on our website, DemocratsAgainstUnAgenda21.com. You can type that. It's not hard. It is a nonpartisan plan, but I tell you, part of it is, they'll say it's a right-wing thing. They're going to tell you, it's a right-wing nutcase Tea Party thing. Well, that's a lie. This is being fought by people all across the world. People who are not affiliated, who are on the left, who are on the right, the center. This is it. So, if you live in an area where you can't walk flyers around because it's just too darn big, you get some money together and you put out some postcards that are real powerful. And this was done up in Washington State, the San Juans. Very powerful. Information about regional boards that are controlling their use of their property up there. Very powerful. What else are you going to do? You're going to identify the nonprofits who are in your town. You're going to identify the players. You are going to identify collaborators who are going to expose collaborators. I'm not kidding around when I call you the resistance. I don't think there's anybody in this room who would have gotten up in the morning, who would think of themselves as being somebody who would get up in the morning and put on a Nazi uniform. I don't think there's anybody in this room who can envision themselves doing that. Every single one of you think you would have been in the resistance. You are the resistance. This is what it is. So you identify those groups if you're paying dues, if you're contributing money, if you're volunteering, pull your support and tell them why. Identify. Let's say you're giving money to the American Lung Association. Did you know they have an advocacy wing for SmartGrowth? They advocate for SmartGrowth. They are on board. They are an NGO, recognized by the United Nations. You want to pull your support from any local or national or international group that is doing this to you. You don't want to give them your money or your time, right? So, we are seeing government legislation now. Alabama, governor in Alabama just passed a law that repudiates Agenda 21 and rejects ICLEI. You want to kick ICLEI out of your city, but don't stop there, because this is the latest thing, is that your city will drop their membership, but they already got all the software and stuff, and they're just going to keep going with it. You need to purge your general plan. Now, these things sound like they're big, and it's a huge thing to do, but you know what? If every single one of you went down together in a body like this, that would scare the hell out of them. You know it. And I don't know what towns you're all from, but if you each go, you get together and you say your meeting is Tuesday, and your meeting is Wednesday, and your meeting is Thursday, I will be there. This is what America looks like. This is what the resistance looks like. All of us supporting each other, and all of us saying, no, we do not, that plan is not our plan. That visioning project is not our project. Those property owners are not here. And you don't want to vote on it either, because that's another communitarian thing, the common good, right? It's going to get, they'll lie. They lie. So, teachers are speaking out. They're refusing to teach sustainable development newspeak instead of math. Reinventing math. That doesn't have anything to do with math. Kids are uneducated now for a reason. Because if you are ignorant, you will not fight this plan. You can be lied to. If you can't read, you can't read. Right? Parents are going into classrooms and they are listening to the lessons. Doctors are refusing to prescribe mind-altering drugs with side effects of suicide and murder for children. We're exposing the links with Siemens Corporation, a Nazi corporation that is still operating today and is responsible for a lot of what you're seeing, and how about IBM collaborating with the Germans in World War II. You know those numbers on people's arms? That wasn't just your number 2-1, your number 2, your number 3, your number 4, no. Those numbers corresponded with what town you were from, what race you were, what camp you were going to. Where did they get those systems from? IBM. IBM made those machines for the Germans. They collaborated with the enemy. They made a wholly owned subsidiary in Germany. But they serviced the machines from the United States, and they brought the cards from the U.S., and they were fully knowledgeable. IBM, why am I talking about IBM? Who cares about IBM? IBM is making the biometrics readers for your eye. Yeah. You think you're worried about your cards? You're not going to need your cards. You go to the ATM machine, you're going to look into the ATM machine, and you are going to get your money, or you're not going to get your money. Your money's going to be on a card. I hope you're getting concerned about this, and I hope you're recognizing that this is not just some little chat you came to tonight. This is a call to arms. We're Americans. That means something to me. That means that I want to live free. We've got children. We have families. You know what? I'm not embarrassed to say I've got myself. I'm worth saving. My nation is worth saving. Our freedom and our liberty is worth saving. When the left and the right come together on this plan, as they have to, because we can't win without just one half of our nation, we will fight and stop this plan. We need to work on it together. We will work on it together. When you go to your friends who are on the left or whatever, like me, and you say globalization, the 1%, smart meters, corporatocracy, school debt, that is Agenda 21. They are also fighting Agenda 21, and they need to know we are together. Those things we don't agree on, we will not talk about. I had somebody who emailed me. She goes, you know, Rosa, you and I don't agree on a whole bunch of stuff. But let's wait till later to fight on that. We're going to fight together on Agenda 21. We'll fight about the other stuff later. And this is what we need to do. So I want you to join me. I know that we can do this. We are going to do it. We are doing it all across the nation. We're not alone. And we need to get up and stand up and say, we will not allow this to happen in our nation. No more regional boards, no more unelected boards and commissions. We will not allow our neighborhoods to be taken over by change agents, people who are actually starting your neighborhood associations and running them, and then saying they represent your entire neighborhood and your city needs buy-in on these plans. You need to pay attention, stand up, refuse to cooperate, expose collaborators, and join the resistance. Thank you.